The 2024-25 championship season is now confirmed and I for one cannot wait. A big congratulations to Southampton for their promotion to the Premier League. Doing it at Wembley is always the sweetest way to do it. But what we're going to be doing in today's video is taking a quick preview of the upcoming championship season. Now it goes without saying, it's way too early to properly preview anything, but the bookies have already come out with their early predictions ahead of next season. I've taken each championship club and their current promotion odds for next season and I've put them all into a table from 1 to 24. Now this will change quite drastically over the coming months depending on transfer business, teams bringing in managers, selling players and things like that. But it's quite interesting to take a reading on this one quite early on to see just where each side is fancied to finish at this point in time. If you do go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, but without any further ado, let's jump in. Starting out in 24th, we do have Oxford United with promotion odds of 18 to 1 as of recording. I think it's fair to say that Oxford probably have the most to do heading up to the championship of those three sides that have been promoted. Promotion via the playoffs, great day out at Wembley. Josh Murphy making the difference against Bolton, but quite a bit probably needed to add to that squad to make them properly competitive ahead of next season. With that being said, there are a number of players already within that team that I'm excited to see how they adapt to championship level. Cameron Brannigan, someone who's been long overdue making a championship appearance, been linked to this level for God knows how long, so very excited to see how he gets on. Ruben Rodriguez, someone who I can't wait to see in action as well. So yeah, Oxford I think will definitely be playing the role of the underdog next season. Let's see how this summer goes for them. Also with promotion odds of 18 to 1, it's Plymouth Argyle. Now Argyle probably are going to be tipped to go down by quite a few people this season. They've made the quite bold decision to go ahead and appoint Wayne Rooney as their new manager, and it's fair to say that decision has had a mixed response from both Plymouth fans and neutrals. Rooney definitely has a point to prove after how disastrous his spell was with Birmingham last season. Obviously the team that went down, finishing 1 point below Plymouth in the end. Plymouth fans, I'd be very interested to get your reading on this upcoming season and how you're seeing things right now with Rooney at the helm. Then all the way down in 22nd place, we've got my side, Preston North End, with promotion odds of 12 to 1. Now, I'm not going to lie, Preston's underlying numbers last season didn't make for pretty reading, and we were one of the worst teams in the championship statistically last time around. With all that being said, it was still a top half finish for North End, and while there are massive questions for Lowe to answer next season and that team in general in terms of style of play, chance creation, goals being scored, I do think there's still more than enough quality within that squad that will probably see Preston finish in around mid-table again. Another quite interesting one, next up we've got Cardiff, also with promotion odds of 12 to 1 as of recording. A little bit of uncertainty still going on behind the scenes at Cardiff right now as of recording. Was a solid finish for them last season, all things considered. Big progress from the previous year, but in quite a similar line to Preston, Cardiff's underlying numbers didn't make for great reading last season, so will be interesting to see if they sort of revert to type and those underlying numbers catch up with them, or if they're able to add that little bit more quality that sees them push on to that next level. It's too early to say right now. After that, we then got Blackburn Rovers, currently with promotion odds of 9 to 1. Now, I mean, it's my personal opinion, I think Blackburn have got a lot more to do this summer than probably Cardiff and Preston, but despite that, they do have shorter odds for promotion. I still think there's questions over whether Eustace is the right man long-term for Blackburn. Did a good job to avoid the drop in the end, but if you look at Eustace's tenure as a whole, he's averaged 1.05 points per game as Blackburn boss. When averaged over an entire season, that would be worth 48 points, and last season, 48 points wouldn't have been enough to keep you in the championship. What happens with Sammy Smodics, how much money Blackburn potentially get for him, and how much they're then able to reinvest into that squad perhaps, will be quite crucial in determining where Rovers finish next season. Also with promotion odds of 9 to 1 right now, it's Millwall. Now, the Lions did end last season on the best run of form of any championship club. From Neil Harris coming in to the end of the season, Millwall accumulated the most points in the championship. Whether or not that was just a flash in the pan. We'll have to see heading into next season. Certainly think that Millwall were a lot better in terms of squad quality than their league position for the vast majority of last season suggested. You know, they were in and amongst a relegation battle for quite a bit of it. Do think Millwall are better than that, but promotion odds of 9-1 right now. They're in and around quite a lot of other Championship clubs right now with similar odds. Swansea, another of the teams with promotion odds of 9-1 right now, ended the season fairly well actually, winning their last 3 consecutive matches, and it certainly feels like there's the early signs of something developing under Luke Williams. How much backing he'll actually get in the summer, though, we'll have to wait and see. And I think that will be quite telling in where Swansea finish in the league table come next season. Bristol City, another side with promotion odds of 9-1 as of recording, ended last season fairly well, only 1 defeat in their last 7 matches. Another team in the early stages of a project which seems to be building under Liam Manning. If you look at Bristol City's previous finishes in Championship seasons in years gone by, year upon year they have tended to make steady progress. Last season they finished 11th. I'm sure the goal for next season will be to be in and amongst that playoff battle. This one's really interesting. Sheffield Wednesday with promotion odds of 15-2. Now, Wednesday fans will be absolutely buzzing with that recent news of Danny Roll signing a contract extension at Hillsborough. On the back of how well Roll had done with that Wednesday group to keep them up last season from the position he inherited that squad, I think there probably would have been quite a few twitchy Wednesday fans that maybe he could have been poached away this summer. Sure, there will have been a lot of interest in him, but him signing that contract just cools those fears for the time being. And don't get me wrong, I think that Wednesday do need to do quite a bit in terms of adding the adequate quality into that squad ahead of next season if they really want to soar up the league. But I mean, there's no doubt about it, they have one of the best managers in the Championship, don't they? And that can absolutely make all the difference in a league as competitive as the Championship. Very similar sort of story with QPR as well. They've also got promotion odds of 15-2 as of recording. It's quite amazing actually how similar QPR and Sheffield Wednesday seasons mirrored each other last year, obviously. Cifuentes, the man coming in at QPR, and a miraculous job he did there last season. Still, that squad is in need of patching up in quite a few areas, but with a manager like Cifuentes on board, no reason why they can't push up the league next season. We then got Hull City, who've got promotion odds of 13-2 right now. Hull making the bold decision at the end of last season to part ways with Liam Rosenior. Came very close to making it into the playoffs last season, but just missed out on the final day, and Rosenior ultimately paying the price for that. Now, Hull really went all out for promotion last season, certainly in terms of how they went ahead and played the loan market. What they do this summer will be very interesting, whether or not they're as ambitious once again. It seems like the ownership wants to push for it again. The futures of Philogene and Greaves especially will be quite interesting for Hull. If those players do leave, I'm sure they would bank quite a bit of change for them, but would lose a lot of quality in the process. They've got promotion odds of 13-2 right now, but I've got a feeling that will fluctuate quite a bit throughout the summer, depending on transfer activity. Not gonna lie, it always feels like Stoke are a little bit overestimated in the bookies promotion odds. Certainly at the start of the season, Stoke are always amongst the teams with shorter odds for promotion. Currently, with promotion odds of 13-2. I mean, it's an interesting one. Steven Schumacher did a good job at the back end of last season to avoid the drop, and they have been quite active early on in this transfer window in starting to get a little bit of their business done. They finished 17th last season and always seem to run into a hiccup or two along the way. Stoke fans will be hoping that next season there's a bit of a change to that norm. Quite a big call here. They've also got Derby with promotion odds of 13-2. Sure, every Derby County fan would snatch your hands off right now for a top half finish in the Championship next season. Great to have Derby back in the Championship for next season, obviously coming off the back of a great campaign in League One where they accumulated 92 points. I think that Paul Warne especially is someone who has a bit of a point to prove in the Championship, already a few relegations on his CV with Rotherham. Very different context though, now with him being the Derby boss, but a finish of 12th will be quite ambitious, I'd say. Watford, another side with promotion odds of 13-2. There is quite a bit of uncertainty for me with Watford at the moment heading into next season. Obviously, Tom Cleverley taking on that role. Actually thought he did fairly well on an interim basis last season, but we'll really see what he's made of heading into this next campaign and how much quality Watford will actually have in that squad. It was a finish of 15th last season, which was pretty underwhelming. Not gonna lie, I do have a few question marks over Watford right now. Portsmouth also in this pack of team with promotion odds of 13-2 right now, coming up as League One champions. I mean, we saw Ipswich Town doing back-to-back promotions from League One to the Championship. Can Pompey go ahead and do the same? Really exciting project that they've got going there under John Mousinho, a team who I'm absolutely buzzing to see back in the Championship. And going off the bookies odds right now, it is Portsmouth and Derby who are tipped to do the best of the promoted clubs, each with promotion odds of 13-2. The last of the sides with promotion odds of 13-2 is Sunderland, and I think they're a really difficult one to put your hat on right now. I think it's too early to say whereabouts they'll be in the table next season. Honestly, I think they could be anywhere. Before we get a clear reading on who will be in charge next season, what that squad will look like, whether or not they sell some of their key assets, I think it's way too early to make a call on Sunderland right now. You then got Coventry with promotion odds of 5-1. I definitely think Coventry will be in and amongst the playoff conversation once again. Just missed out this season, had to play catch up a little bit due to a slow start to the season, but still a lot of quality in that squad. And let's face it, Mark Robins, he is one of the best managers in the Championship. Already guided Cov to one Championship playoff final. Would not surprise me in the slightest if Cov were in and amongst it next season again, and the bookies think they'll be in and around that conversation for sure. A big rebuilding job is needed at Sheffield United. They do have promotion odds of 5-1 right now, but where they'll land in the Championship next season, I really think is up for debate. It's really anyone's guess right now with the Blades. Obviously, the weakest side coming down from the Premier League, the bookies have tipped them to be the weakest of the three teams coming into the Championship, and I think that most people will probably see it that way. Quite a few people released in the summer, which we've discussed on previous videos. I think especially coming off the back of a season in the Premier League as mentally draining as that, it will take quite a bit to psych yourself up and get yourself properly going for this Championship campaign again. And whether or not Sheffield United are properly up and amongst the teams at the top of the table, I'm not so sure right now. You then got Norwich with promotion odds of 4-1, a playoff semi-finalist from last season. Were quite quick to act in the aftermath of that playoff semi-final defeat to Leeds United in binning off David Wagner. Still a squad with a hell of a lot of quality, but what happens to the likes of Johnny Rowe, Josh Sargent, Gabriel Sara this summer? We'll have to wait and see. You got the Baggies in there in that conversation as well with promotion odds of 4-1. I mean, Carlos Corberan was working wonders last season, really, with one hand tied behind his back in terms of the limited resources that he had to work with in terms of a transfer kitty. They accumulated 75 points in total last season. As of recording, looks as if the bookies fancy them to be in and amongst that same amount of points again. Next in the table, it's Middlesbrough, also with promotion odds of 4-1. They just missed out on the top six this season, weren't really in the playoff conversation for a lot of the season. They had that real dip in the middle of the campaign when all the injuries started to accumulate, but definitely not a side to sleep on heading into next season. Michael Carrick's still a manager that I do rate really highly, and if you look at Borough's form in the tail end of last season, they only lost one of their last 12 matches, went toe-to-toe with a lot of the sides in and amongst the top of the table as well. Had it not been for that injury crisis, there's every chance that I think Middlesbrough would have made the top six last season. How heavy they go in the transfer market will probably dictate where that squad lands next season, but yeah, there's still a lot of upside around Middlesbrough, I'd say. I think the big benefit for Luton coming back down to the Championship is the continuity within that squad. Still a bulk of those players involved in their promotion from the Championship last season. Rob Edwards still heading up that project as well, and definitely a side who I think will be up and around the playoff/automatic promotion conversation next season. Obviously, a long way to go between now and the start of the season. There will be quite a few players who are probably sold from that Premier League squad, but if they keep that core together, I think you'd have to fancy Luton to be up and around it. I think Burnley are a really interesting one right now. I think that if you look at that squad on paper, it's definitely a team that should be in and amongst the top sides in the Championship next season, but just with that spanner in the works because of the company news, it does add a little bit more jeopardy into Burnley next season, I think it's fair to say. And then we've got Leeds United in there. Now, it's always hard to get over the heartache of losing a Championship playoff final. It's an absolutely devastating way to end the season, but Leeds will have to get that out of their system as quick as possible. And I think that if you do take a step back from everything, they're still in a really good position to challenge for automatic promotion next season. I think the benefit for Leeds is that looking at this league on paper, I don't think it's as strong at the top of the table as last season was. Sales this summer are inevitable, but if you keep the core of that squad together, they'll definitely be right amongst it in the promotion picture. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Get your early shouts in the comments down below as well. Interested to read some of those. But apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.